I was only 15 years old. And 2 weeks after school was out, all my friends had been drafted or joined the services because they're all 18 or older. And they were all older than I was, all the boys on the football and basketball team I played with. So I decided I'd go too. So I went to the recruiting office in Salisbury, North Carolina, told the fellow, you know, I want to join the Navy. And he asked me how old I was. I told him I was 17, going on 18, which I actually was 15. And he told me I'd have to get my mom and daddy to sign the papers. And accordingly, my daddy and my daddy said he would sign them, you know, when I told him I was going to join the Navy. Then after I got them, he changed his tune to if my mama signed them, he'd sign them. And he couldn't say much about it because he joined the Army in World War I when he was 16, so he went in underage when he went in World War I. I got my papers and he changed his tune to if you can get in without us signing them, go ahead. So I got a friend of mine that I went to school with. He just turned 18 years old and he was getting ready to be drafted, and his name was John Galloway. He worked at a grocery store, and I told John that I need somebody to sign my mom and daddy's name on my papers, and he signed them, and he knew where a notary republic was that would notarize them. That's all I needed to do to get them notarized, and I could get in. So we went to the Chevrolet dealer up in downtown, and I got this man to notarize my Navy papers. He wanted to know where my mom and daddy was, and told him I was in the mill working where most people were. And he charged 50 cents to notarize papers. He wouldn't take my 50 cents. He wished me good luck, and I didn't have to pay him. I had a brother that was a Japanese prisoner, and I kind of had some idea about going to help bring him home, you know. I was 15 years old, and do a lot of things when you're 15 that you not practical. I was on my way to Brooklyn to see a girl I dated before when home on leave, and she showed me how to ride the subway down Times Square, go across the street and change trains to get to her house. And that's what I was in the process of doing. And I got off the subway, started up the steps, and this lady came over to me, she came off the street, came over and put her hand on my arm and said, "Sailor, I'm so happy for you." I said, "For what?" She said, "The war's over, you can go home." I said, "Are you sure?" She said, "They just announced it on the Time building right outside the subway entrance." Well, the first thing I thought about was my brother, who was captured when Bataan fell. And I ran up the stairs and ran out in the street jumping and hollering, happy, thinking about my mama and my brother. And I was jumping and hollering. That nurse was standing in the middle of the street. She heard me and she turned around and held her arms out like this, and that's when I went over and kissed her. It was a pretty nice kiss. I was kissing her and somebody ran up on us, and I opened my eyes and it was a photographer. You see where my arm is here? I had it in front of her face, and then when I saw him, I moved my arm over, you know, where it'd be out of the way. I first saw that picture around 1960 when I was working at the post office in Reno. I saw it on the front page of the newspaper. Now I went and bought a magazine, and when I saw those two sailors in there, it tickled me to death because I was on the ship with both of them. Jack Holmes, He was on the Alexander Lidlington with me, and Bob Little's back here behind me somewhere. That boy in that white uniform. I met him in Houston. He was having a show, showing his pictures. And I was invited to have lunch with him. And he was told that they'd found me, that this lady at University of Houston saw me on channel 13, which was Marvin Zindler's channel. They set up a polygraph test for me to take. She saw me taking a polygraph test, and she invited me to have lunch with them. Said, we're going to have lunch. I called her, told her who it was, and she said, I'm so glad. Said, I was going to try to get a hold of you to invite you to have lunch with us. Said, we're having lunch with him, and I'm inviting you to have lunch with him. He refused to have lunch with me. He knew I knew about that picture. So he told lies about it. He told some lawyers in Raleigh, North Carolina, found six different statements he'd made about that picture. I wore my white uniform back from North Carolina to New York on a train, and the trains, southern trains down there, where I got on the train, all coal burning trains, and you black as soot when you get where you're going. So I put my clothes in the laundry, and all I had was that blue uniform. That's the reason I was wearing it. That's a gunner made third class rating. I made that probably before I turned 17 years old, and I don't think that uniform I had on, I had a rating on it, I'm not sure. This one, the medal France gave us for liberating France. This one's an American defense ribbon. This is a European ribbon, and this one here is a European ribbon. This one here is has something to do with the European War. I folded it like that had in there. A lot of them don't fold them like this. When Life came out in 1980 with an article, said, in the editorial said, will a real sailor please step forward? And I did. And they started telling me on the phone it couldn't be me. And I mean, started calling me a liar. And it made me mad. And I told them I'm a sailor in that picture, and I'll prove it. And I'll do it till the day I die. That's what I told them. I talked to the editor. His name was something Whittington. And I talked to him on Larry King radio show when Larry was still doing radio in Washington, D.C. He was on there, and I called him and told him who it was, and I sent him a picture up there 3 times with posters. I just told lies about the picture. He already told 6, 7 lies about it. He didn't want nobody to have credit about it. He's trying to make people think he took a picture of a ghost. That's what he tried to make people think. George Mendoza filed a lawsuit, and he was going to court, and when he saw that that Life wasn't going to settle with him, he dropped his lawsuit. It makes you mad.
What makes you mad?
Them people claiming to be the sailor in that picture.
Why does it make you mad?
Because I know it's not them. When I met Lois Gibson, I saw her on the public radio station. They were telling how good she was at identifying dead people and putting their skulls and faces back together after they'd been dead for a while. And I thought to myself, if anybody can identify me, she can, you know. And I called her. I went over to, they said she worked for the Houston Police Department. I went to the telephone and called the Houston Police Department and talked to her. I told her, I said, I saw you on TV a while ago, and I said, if anybody can identify me, I know you can. And I told her who it was. I said, I'm the sailor in that picture kissing that nurse on Times Square. And she told me she'd tell me if I was. When she saw me, she teared up. She said, "By God, you are a sailor." That's what she told me. I don't take it to extremes. I appreciate it. And the attention I get is overwhelming sometimes. And sometimes I just don't understand. You'd be surprised how many teenagers line up and they're all crying for, ain't they, Glenda? Before I get to them, you know, to sign something for them, they're crying. So happy, they just can't stand it. Not only grown people, teenagers. That dance I went to Saturday night in San Marcos, a lot of older women there, and they all wanted to kiss me and hug me and make over me. That photo was about the end of the war, but it wasn't for me. It was about my brother in a Jap prison camp being freed and come home. And at the time, I didn't know whether he was alive or dead, but I know he'd been a Jap prisoner 3.5 years.
Did he come home?
Yeah, he come home 6 months before I did. He was home, discharged, and done spent most of his back pay before I got home. I didn't get home till March of '46, and he got home just a week or two later after he was liberated.
How do you usually sign these?
I'll show you.
So it says, "To all my best, to Craig, Glenn McDuffie, August 14th, 1945, New York, New York, VJ Day." It's been an honor. It's been a real honor to meet you.
Thank you.
I mean, I really mean that.
Thanks.
You know, it sort of makes me choke up inside that
Yeah.
I've seen this picture for, I don't know, 1945.
Yeah.
You know, when I ask people what the most iconic image is from World War II,
Yeah.
they'll tell me one of two things. They'll tell me the flag raising at Iwo Jima or the kissing sailor. And it's not always in that order. It sort of depends on what they felt was important to them.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's, I think what you did here, without knowing it, is that, you know, if you think of the flag raising gave people the chance to feel victorious. You gave people the chance to do this. It's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just it's a cathartic moment for America. And that's what I see when I see this picture. I see a cathartic moment where you really, really sort of said, it's over.
Yeah.
You know?
I think they love it because it expressed the way most people felt when that war was over. That's the way I felt.